Okay, this is kind of tricky because this is supposed to be some sort of tutorial for people who haven't really been inside a psych ward, but it's also challenging because the way I'm presenting it right now, it has to be also about people who actually got in. You see, some of the things, if not the entire subject I'm talking about, won't make sense when you're not inside of a ward before. And there's also the problematic part. Uh, Psych wards are so different, vastly different. There are psych wards that have CCTVs, so doing any writing won't you if you're allowed you can get away with it, but it's tricky because uh, just the fact that there are a CCTV culture means they're trying to they're trying to be the type of ward where if they don't understand what you're writing, maybe chances are they're better off just banning you from your notebook. There's a possible green light there though, where uh, let's say they're not gonna ban you, but the doctor's gonna really ask, like what do all those things in your notebook mean? Then there's the psych wards where you just don't have notebooks. Maybe if you had it, you still wouldn't be able to write much about it because space, time isn't the same, friends aren't the same. And then there's of course a psych ward where I just came from, where we're similar. The idea was we all wanted to talk about notebooks, we all wanted to write. Problem is nobody, as based on psych wards, are told uh, will we get our notebook back? Will we get what we are writing back? And that's sort of the inspiration for this topic. Uh, this, if you can see this, it's obviously an OCR. There's the word AdArt there, and there's the word a dear heart. The truth is, these two pages inside that word was one page. Like how one page, just an entire page that I wrote uh, without anything else. So what I'm showing right here to you is what worked inside my mind. See, what I'm trying to do here in this topic is to give you guys something that's a combination of what you guys will be thinking if you're inside, but also what you guys aren't gonna think because people just get inside. They just get sent inside. They're not thinking clearly. Some people think that just because they're sent inside, uh, well, let's just say everybody has some sort of positive idea of the people that sent them there. Everybody has a negative idea. So everybody, even the smart ones who may be into coding, into hiding messages, they're not. They're not hiding anything. Uh, Fitting title, this book, Judgment Under Uncertainty. This is what you're gonna encounter if you ever go in a ward. You'll not understand how to write books, but the entire the entire staff, uh, entire nurses, they or doctors, uh, they want you to spend your time thinking, but they don't want you to spend your time thinking anything bad. So a notebook is the number one example. But how do you do it? How do you hide a message? And this is where I explain this AdArt method. Two copies. You can do other methods of hiding stuff. I'm not exactly the best at hiding things, but I've seen housemates, intelligent ones. They hid letters, got caught later, hid letters in their bed. Once they lost that uh, secret mindset, they got caught. There were people who made small pieces of letters. These were much more beneficial, but ended up getting caught. Uh, there were people who wrote notebooks, extensive notebooks, got caught, lost the notebook. So what's the objective of a dual other page? Well, like I said, uh, in the actual other article, I had uh, one person in mind. So that one person, I didn't need people to know that I was reading for that one person, but I was also worried someone would flip my page and see that. And at the same time, I also wanted to test it. So of course, I have to explain what AdArt was to that person. So here was this one patient. He was the leader among the groups, so he was very inquisitive. He knew what he wanted to get out of uh, things that not just me but any other patient was sending. So we both have these things, and for some reason I sent him other cool stuff, right? Well, not exactly. Other turned out to be something that bothered him. It wasn't. Uh, it wasn't something that was uh, something that really made him mad or sad or stuff like that. But it bothered him because there were details there that just didn't make sense, and yet some of the contents did. Other was, of course, about a female that I had feelings for. But in that ward, you're not allowed to have that feelings. He learned that the hard way. Wasn't even just the feelings; it was the expression, the implication of feelings. Though they don't check our notebooks, I knew that, or I had a sense that my notebook would never be sent out. All of our notebooks will not be. So that's what happened. None of our notebooks got out. So there were two things other the article had to achieve. One, other had to be something that makes me remember the woman, makes me remember my feelings, and I had to move fast because I don't know exactly what other things are happening across those timelines. I could be sent out. Uh, Turns out I saw a report, so to speak, a report about that woman that makes it more complicated as far as what was could bother her. And then, of course, the second thing is I had to remember. I had to remember that woman, but I have to remember her, but I had to be able to forget her because we're not talking about just one. We're talking about a lot and a lot and a lot of people coming in and out of there. So each of those people, I sort of creating an adder, but this woman, I wanted my feelings not just laid out before she left, and she left like very fast. So look at it this way: From the other side, love doesn't disappear, it just rarely appears. Love changes the mind. Love swallows the heart. It drags my future with hers. And next it starts with her line. I exist better than her yesterday. At one time, she made me mine today. So this paragraph shouldn't be so special. But what makes it special on the other side is that there's the anthem. The iconic thing about, again, these are like, what I did was create cubes, and that symbolizes something. For the name, you have an interesting thing here, but then you have is that it slash she. So now you have a very small drawing uh, distracting you uh, from your memory. So it's a fancy way of saying you're sending messages, bite size of drawings into your mind. So it slash she means this is a person that's real. Okay, but then here's the two words again: disappear, disappear. So in here, love rarely appears, but in here, love constantly reappears. So now you can see there's an antonym and synonym going on in this code in this encoding system. It's not the best coding because, of course, if you just want to hide the words, you just hide the words. But what I want to do was show the words, like really express it, really blow it up out there to the point that if I got interviewed, I'm gonna have something to say that the doctors uh, will find fascinating. And what by fascinating I mean fascinated in such a way that they're gonna they're gonna tinker with my mind instead of they're gonna so busy reading the words, and they're gonna say, okay, the words they make sense, but what's the psychology behind that? So it's a way of distraction instead of uh, hidden anything. So you don't want to hide when somebody already discovers you in a controlled environment. You want to be this uh, crazy person that was. And I'm not saying my method is the best. I've prolonged my stay very long, but I did help many people uh, along the way uh, send their messages. So what I'm doing here is creating a sinner anti-duality that uh, when your mind is tired, it just clicks. You can do it. So now let's go continue. Love lifts my heart, and here, love doesn't lift the heart; it swallows it. So you're starting to get what you're trying to get your mind into. You're sending your brain images so that it will anchor with what you want out of that article or out of that person. And that way, the layers are adding up. So when I say layer, I mean the software kind, not just the poetic kind. The layers mean that what someone asks you, like a friend asks you, they're gonna receive or they're gonna interpret something deep about what I say, but they just gonna keep continuing, uh, uh, extrapolating, and it gonna looks like it's extrapolating because you have these two things. And when I say, okay, love swallows the heart, love lifts up the heart, I'm not saying, okay, this is what's written. I'm saying if I write it now as a sentence, it's gonna become more love sinks in too deep. So here, this is swallowed. What when you swallow something, it sinks. So I'm sinking too deep. I can I cannot lift up anything else. Can't lift up anything else because you're still around. So this is coded. So what is what will this sentence possibly code? Let's assume. Let's assume that there's first first eyesight. See, first eyesight. You can't draw this, of course. The, it will be obvious. First eyesight. But when when were when was she a burden? So if you know when was she a burden, you can set date her coming, her going, and now your mind is much more. Uh, let's just say your mind is much more in linked, and you can do this. You don't need this written down. Remember, you can do this inside hand. Drawings, images. It's not unique, but what is unique is that it's you're trying to do opposites. So again, let's go with Alexis starts with her like I exist better than her yesterday. Uh, but here there's nothing starts. I die content in knowing her that one time. So what the previous sentences were about two images colliding, synch- uh, synchronizing. But the next the next series of but the next series of sentences combines. So exactly. So you want something that how do you combine something two opposite things? You start with what's the, what's the goal? You start here and you go here. So what do I mean by this? Alexa starts with her. What you want is again this isn't easy. I'm improvising and it's already 19 minutes. So say yes, what's the next? What's so we're gonna do something closer to a start to a feeling and with that cost you ask. So again, this is a very simple combination of words, but it's very unique for uh, it's very unique for another word term for this. It's a very unique thing for a psychiatry, because let's say you read this, it's either generic, it's either generic or crazy. You don't want you don't want bare bones. So why is it creators the psychology will just keep asking and asking? We're not talking about just a doctor. If it's a psychological doctor or a psychiatry, psychologist, whatever, maybe they might care more. But some of these people are nurses, some of these are attendants. So you want something that if they're gonna find you in a bad spot, make them hell, give them something. Because if you don't give them anything, they just receive this bare bones thing, they will keep analyzing it to uh, the point where one one unnotable equals rip, two caught equals suspicion. But but what if? And that's what you want to say, you know. If you go what if to that person, those people uh, will entertain you. They'll almost sort of, they can't deny you as a human being. So you're gonna get into a lot of problems, and that's good, because the more they insist on problems, more it works for your side, because that means I hate this concept. It's on a T-shirt in the psychiatric facility. It's called "Keep Talking, I'm Diagnosing You." Well, you know, you hit them with a combination of nonsense to them, and then lengthy, and then you basically make them back out of this, back out of this, and you keep entering this realm. So now we're done with the first part. Now the second is much more. Uh, if I had time, I will have done it in a. Yes, this is it. I plan to replicate my drawing of AdArt, but AdArt had a sequel. So as a both AdArt the drawing, AdArt the text. But what we're focusing right now is AdArt, I guess, the drawing. So 3 bars to symbolize prison. So percentages vanishes when the rule of the world allows for so much. It is transferable. Here, percentages opposite does not vanish, but it pops up when freedom brings down the old bars and replace it with a new cage. So again, what you're trying to do here is attack. You're trying to attack. First word, first sentence, stable, emotions. Second sentence, attack. You combine this, it becomes confusion. So you have this helping you hide the fact that you experience something, but it's also revealing. But then now you're combining something, and now people are trying to extrapolate, and then you have confusion. Confusion is the most dangerous thing. What confusion has is that it can allow people to make you stay longer. But I'm the only one I know who in that facility 1 year, and I still didn't get any punishment to the level of a sanction that was directed at me. And now we have to do what is word salad. Word salad is this. For those who know, it's just basically adding words that you're confused on. Unless you have a thesaurus, it's not recommended, but think of it like this. Encumbered by the pain, knowledge becomes the only thing keeping my life alive. I don't want to lose her, yet only my image of her can contain time and memory. Alas, I only have few opportunities left to complete a desperate act. If only my heart had a decoy, so I can be happy with the fact that I can sit that I am not happy being away from her. Dystopian desires rush back in. The possibilities were many, the reality only one. So this is sort of word salad or metaphoric, but it combines what I want here. You have the imagery of it's just synchro each other, telling person, okay, this person possibly is in love with someone, but is he talking to? Is he unveiling feelings to someone, or is he uh, hiding that feelings? And that's the best part. As long as you don't get caught, they get rather than getting caught to girl, you can like amp this notes like this, everything from inside your pillow to stuff, and people are got so caught up with this with the things, the text, they don't get the fruits of what the message is. That's how other kind of mess up my friend too, because uh, it was like reading from something that's not complete. And I have 2 minutes left, so let's try to end this. I am free only in my mind. None of this is true. I am free to pursue what I want. None of this is true. So now you're seeing something. The brackets. It's not so much the brackets are important, but what's your end goal? What's your end message? Because people, uh, there's something called a Marvinism in the rehab or in the facility I came in, because I have a way of saying if you lose, that's the only way you win, or if you beat them, you can't lose to them unless you something like that. If you can beat them, then you have no way of losing. So what I do is you have to send a Marvinism or a contradiction, and then one love, one love that takes many days. Nothing special about that. Many loves that lead to only one ending. If only I knew what she considers as true, then my dear heart, I need not be afraid of what is true. So again, this is what I meant by none of this is true. This is what you want to end it with, a theme or a message style that means none of this is true. So what is not true about what I'm saying? Okay, when I wrote this line, I was I wasn't focused on a little. She wasn't the only girl. You got it. So my message wasn't. It's meant to make it seem like I have an overly attention towards this girl. So everybody's like looking at that girl. They're not looking at the girl I need, and that concludes uh, my short and long tutorial. Uh, if I get better at this, I'll probably explain it later. But right now, every app of mine is crashing because of this video.